Hey everybody, I'm Bede, aka the Terrible Australian of Supermastery.com, and welcome to the 7th edition of my 2015 MIFF video reviews. For this one, I will be talking about the powerful documentary The Hunting Ground, and as well as the period horror film The Witch. So let's get right into it. Now, as I stated in previous videos, as if you've watched the previous ones, you already know this, but I'm going to say it again anyway for those who haven't. I've got my MIFF guide here, in which I'll be reading the synopsises for all the films from this, so that way I don't screw up what they're about. So let's get right into it. Now, and first up, of course, is The Hunting Ground. Documentarian Kirby Dick and producer Amy Ziering won 2 Emmys for their last film, The Invisible War, a hard-hitting journalistic investigation into rape within the US military. Now they focus their attention on sexual assault at US campuses, and what they uncover is just as shocking. It's not merely the number of attacks, which are at epidemic levels, the rampant institutional cover-ups and victim blaming take an equal toll. As you can expect from hearing that synopsis, this is a pretty heavy film, because this is a subject matter that, no matter how you're going to perceive it, it's going to be disturbing, and I'm not going to lie about it. This is a really disturbing film, but at the same time, it's a completely riveting documentary, and I think we all kind of knew about about the common sort of thing of rape happening in college campuses in the US. But after sort of watching this documentary, it kind of really opened my eyes to how much of an epidemic it is, and how much. So much of it happens every year in the US at many different colleges across the United States, and it's actually pretty shocking when you sort of see the statistics and sort of hearing about from the victims themselves. And it like I said, it's a completely shocking, and you can't help but feel angry and frustrated and disgusted by all of this. And you think it's a pretty simple thing that, and not to meaning to get political here, but you think that, you know, these colleges would do something about that, but when you sort of watch this documentary, you realize they barely do anything about it. And if anything, they kind of just do instead of just really going after the people who committed these crimes, they really sort of put the blame back onto the victims, and it's sickening. And also, like, when you sort of, like I said, and also the fact that they kind of don't really give any type of harsh, judgment to these perpetrators is just wrong. And the fact that, they're doing this, and it just blows my mind. And what's great about this documentary is that the film goes really deep into that, and also examines why that is, and the reasons why they do this. And the more you sort of learn more about it, it's just disturbing. And I would, as I said, as a viewer of this documentary, it just really opened my eyes to the whole thing. But at the same time, we kind of get one of the things about the documentary is that we also talk to the victims, and we sort of meet so many different women, and as well as men, from different backgrounds and social standards, and how these type of things have affected them, and what they have done to try to right this wrong, but yet get turned away by the colleges themselves. And like I said, it's pretty eye-opening. But at the same time, though, as deeply disturbing and as this documentary is, and as well as very powerful, especially when you hear so many of the stories from the victims, you can't help but be incredibly moved by what happened to them, and also at the same time you feel their anger and frustration that nobody is doing anything about this stuff. But at the same time, though, and this is the funny thing about this documentary, the thing that what I found surprising, I should rephrase that. What I found surprising about this documentary, at the same time, it's also quite inspiring. And the reason why that is that in the documentary, there's two two women whose stories we follow the most, who went to college and had and were raped, and also, but instead of just doing nothing about it, they decided to form a group about this to help others who have been victims of rape in colleges, and during the course of the documentary, we see them sort of going out to help fellow victims, but at the same time, they don't see themselves as victims. They see themselves as survivors, and they want to do something that can change how these colleges view these crimes, and and in a way, like I said, it sort of inspires you that they are doing this, going out of their way to do this, to form a movement that could create change against these policies, and it, like I said, it's inspiring. Like I said, it's an inspiring way, and you root for these women to succeed, and but yeah, there's, like I said, there's so much to talk about with this documentary. Like I said, it's incredibly powerful, very disturbing, but at the same time, it's also inspiring as well in the regards of these people, who have been victimized by this crime, actually going out to do something about it and to change, these colleges and how they view these crimes, and do something about it, and that I applaud them for. And I would definitely say, I mean, to know what to expect, I think Kirby Dick, who did a really great job in this documentary. You're probably, if the name doesn't sound familiar, like, you're probably aware of his other films. Like I said, The Invisible War, which is, I sort of mentioned earlier, but he's probably best well known for the documentary This Film Is Not Yet Rated, which looked at the American Motion Picture Association with ratings board and stuff like that. So if you like those movies, or I would say definitely check this one out, because it's definitely worth it. It's a great really great documentary that I highly recommend everyone to check out. If I had to rate this film, I definitely would give it 4.5 stars. I think it's fantastic and incredibly powerful. Now on to my next film, which of course is the period horror film The Witch. And what's this one about? I shall tell you. In the midst of shrouded woods of 1630s New England, William and his devoutly puritanical family live in isolation, exiled from the local community over a matter of religion. But when William's infant son vanishes and the crops begin to fail, the family realizes dark forces must be at play, that perhaps one of their own must be in conjunct with the devil. This, to me, when I first heard about this film at Sundance, where it made its world premiere, I knew I had to see this one, and this film was definitely one of my most anticipated films of this year's Melbourne International Film Festival. I couldn't wait to see it. But, like a lot of horror films, when you kind of hear a lot of hype, and I think when it comes to horror films, I think hype can be very dangerous, because, I mean, if you look at some of the really great horror films of the last few years, like The Babadook or It Follows and a few others, as much as those films deserve their acclaim, but there was so much hype behind those ones that, when people finally got around to seeing them, they were like, some people were like, no, didn't see whether there was anything special about it. So I'm going to try not to overhype this film too much, but if I do happen to gush, I apologize, because I'm not going to lie, I absolutely loved this film. This film did live up to the hype, at least for me anyway. To me, this is the type of horror film that I absolutely love. This is a horror film that brings intelligence and maturity to the genre. And not to say I don't enjoy, I mean, I love horror movies. I love all different types of horror films. But if you ask me what the type of horror movies I do like, it's definitely films like The Witch. And one of the reasons for that is, this is definitely a slow burn horror film. This is one that, from the very first frame to last, it sort of just reels you in with its eeriness and atmosphere. And once it grabs hold of you, it doesn't let go once it's all over. And by the end of the film, I was kind of amazed, to be honest, because this is a well-constructed horror film. Like I said, it's like, I love the fact that it's a slow burn, and that it takes its time to tell its story and to develop its characters, and it does it in a way that's so beautifully done. And the film's writer-director, Robert Eggers. This is his first feature-length debut, and previously he did mostly behind-the-scenes stuff, like doing as a production designer and costume designer. And you could tell that he has a love for horror. He knows what makes horror work, and he just does a fantastic job with his both his direction and screenplay. And also, like, he also brings a lot of authenticity to it as well, because the main reason for that is all the characters in the film speak in Old English, and which I found a bit bizarre at first, because I'm not used to, because I wasn't expecting that. But as the film goes on, it really brings, like I said, brings a sort of an authenticity to the story. And the reason for that is, I was reading up about this afterwards, that when it came to doing research on this story and also the time period that he wanted to set it, he read a lot of journals and trial transcripts around this time, and so he could use that for the basis of the dialogue in this film, and it just works. And also the performances from everyone in this film are fantastic. There's a young actress, Anya. Sorry, I just have to find her name. Anya Taylor-Joy, and I haven't seen her in anything else, but I thought she was fantastic in this film. Also, there's a couple name actors like Ralph Ineson and Kate Dickie, who's probably best known to a lot of people from Red Road and Prometheus and Game of Thrones, who play her parents. They're terrific as well, especially Kate Dickie, and also the younger kids in the film, whose names I can't think of at the moment, who are also fantastic in their roles. And it's just a well-constructed horror film that knows how to build tension from the very first frame to the last. And also, the last half of this movie is incredibly insane, and there are things that happen in it that are so chilling that they've kind of, the images of these things that happen kind of burnt themselves into my brain, and I can't every time. And Eggers knows how to create moments and scenes that are so memorable and so terrifying that you just remember them. So yeah, that's me gushing over the Witch. But like I said, it's a fantastic horror film, and it's one that I really can't wait to see again, and I hope it gets released very soon. I've heard rumours it probably won't get released until 2016, and I really hope that's not true. I hope it comes out sooner, because I really want to see this again. And I'm also curious to see how people react to this film as well. So, I mean, don't take my word gospel. As much as I do love the movie, for all I know, a lot of you out there probably might hate it, but for me, I just thought it was fantastic, and by the end of it, I just was kind of blown away by it. So, but that's just me. Yep. So if I had to give The Witch a rating, I'm going to give it 5 stars. I just thought it was fantastic. Like I said, it's riveting from start to finish, full of tension, full of paranoia, and also it does a couple little things that you've never seen in other horror movies before, and there are moments that you're not going to forget. And I wish there's other aspects I can go into, but that's spoiler territory, and I want people to be surprised about certain things that happen in this film. So yeah, that's the but when it does come out, definitely go see it. It's worth watching for sure. So yeah, that's the end of my 7th edition of my MIFF video reviews. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Keep a lookout very soon for the 8th edition, in which I will be reviewing the indie comedies Nasty Baby and Tangerine. So keep a lookout for that one, and I'll see you guys all later. See you, everyone. Bye.